All right, y'all, here we go. I am going to attempt to explain the assessment assignment. So, I am using my cell phone to record, so we'll see how that works out. All right, so what you're looking at right now is in Blackboard, I've given you 3 different documents as an example of what I want you to do. In the assignment tab, I have given you the same 3 documents for 2 different cases. One is a preschooler, one is a school age child. It's up to you to decide which one you want to use. You can do one or the other, you do not have to do both. All right, so here we go. So when I was at Vanderbilt, I used to take notes. I actually, again, this is back in the day, I used to take notes with a Dell PDA that I had this little tiny keyboard attached to, and it would take notes in a Word document, and then I could use those notes later to do my report. So what you're looking at is a notes document that from my PDA. So it's not entirely complete and it is not grammatically correct because again, these are my notes to myself about this particular case. All right, so what I'm going to attempt to do is show you how these notes from the interview got translated into the report. All right, so here we go. So one of the things that the parent reported is that when we were doing medical history, that he had had several ear infections, and that's this first sentence up here. I started to color code all of these because I was going to just try to do this in a screen sharing thing, but that just turned out to be a nightmare. Okay, so this first part is medical history. This second part is time since onset. So remember, for time since onset, we would use a bracketing procedure. So we would ask, did you notice it? What was going on when you noticed the stuttering, the first time you noticed the stuttering? So one of the interesting things is this is a really young child. He is only 2 years, no, he is 2 years, 9 months at the time of this evaluation. So the onset of his stuttering is actually a while back. But one of the things you always want to know, in one of the things that you always ask in your interview is, has the stuttering changed since the first time you noticed it? So here, because that tells you something about the possibility of whether it's going to spontaneously, whether he's going to spontaneously recover from it. So you ask questions about that because you want to know about spontaneous recovery. So what this says is that he started out repeating words and then he changed to prolongations, which are actually a bit of, so repeating words is less severe than a prolongation. Okay. So again, so we always ask about, does the stuttering come and go? Does it just show up and stay forever and ever? And what the parent reported is that, yes, the stuttering was cyclical in nature, as in it comes and goes. It goes through cycles. And when it comes back, it's been more prolongations more than iterations, which are sound syllable repetitions or whole word repetitions. All right. And then we always ask, what kinds of things make it better or worse? So the parent said, well, he really seems to be worse during emotional situations. So that's that. And, you know, we want to know something about temperament, so it will tell us about your child. And this particular child had very extreme emotions. So, again, now we're kind of we're asking questions that are more tied to temperament. And then that goes into this. So one of the other things we want to know about are their secondary behaviors or non-speech behaviors associated with the child's, and this would be a thing like a jaw jerking, poor eye contact, and this is all like at the moment of stuttering, like what's going on. So jaw jerking, poor eye contact, it could be muscle tension. So think about the SSI, like the kinds of things they ask you about with concomitant behaviors on the SSI. So any of those kinds of things. So these are all secondary behaviors. And then one of the other things we want to know is how aware does the child seem to be regarding his or her stuttering. And so we'll ask, do they seem to be does your child get frustrated easily? And this particular parent said he does seem to be frustrated with his speech, but he doesn't seem to be aware that it's stuttering specifically. So here we're looking for awareness or concern. All right. And then again, this kind of circles back to temperament. So is the child highly reactive to mistakes, or is there, again, you know, easygoing, not easygoing, highly reactive, not highly reactive? So he reacts to his mistakes, especially when he's tired. He gets really frustrated. So here, down at the bottom, this is family history, and usually we would talk about family history and we would use the pedigree form. You know, it's the one where you have the child at the bottom, and then you have the parents, and then you have grandparents, I think it's like this, because there are two sets of grandparents, right? Oops, sorry. It goes like, and then it goes to great grandparents, which branches out up that way. So the things that we asked were things that are related to did anyone stutter, is there a history of language problems, all of that kind of stuff. History of depression is what came up. And one of the things that when you're doing this, you want to know, okay, it's not enough for let's say the mom to say, oh, my mother-in-law is crazy, and she, you know, and so then you have to ask, well, tell me more about that. What you're looking for is an actual medical diagnosis, which gets a little bit more complicated when you get up into great-grandparent land, because those kinds of diagnoses were not made as often. So you can say that there was a family history of depression because the maternal grandfather, so this is mom, So this is her dad, which makes it the child's maternal grandfather. So you would say has a history of depression, and his dad actually committed suicide. So that is a big fat positive for depression, and you can note that in the report. When you are doing this kind of thing, though, you always ask the family, like, is this something you're comfortable with me putting in a report? And it gives them an opportunity, obviously, to say yes or no. All right, so that's the interview. So now, one of the things that we do is we take all of the information, and you'll have these documents in Blackboard. So I know it's not going to be super easy to see in this view, but bear with me because you can look at them more specifically in Blackboard. All right, so we're going to go through how to calculate these in just a minute. So this was back in the day, but I would round that up to 4. And then I would round this up to 1 because you can't have part of a disfluency or stuttering. It either is or it is not. All right, so one of the things that we look at is the total disfluencies for total words is 4%, which is kind of meh, because you can have anything. Remember, the range of normal, and I'll take pictures of these too so that you can see it more clearly. The range of normal is actually between, for total disfluencies to total words, is between, and I'll write it way back over here, is anywhere between 0 and 10%. So total disfluencies to total words, total stuttering-like disfluencies, for those, we feel like anything that is greater than, let's do it this way. All right, so total disfluencies to total words is, let's do it like this. So this is stuttering-like disfluencies. This is total, the ratio of stuttering-like disfluencies to total words, or to total disfluencies. And then this is the total disfluencies to total words. All right, I'll come back to that. So then we have what was the most common disfluency type for this child. It was, interjections. So, like, those kinds of things. So none of these are particularly typical of kids who stutter. So the total stuttering-like disfluencies, so anything greater than, let's go, stutter-like disfluencies to total words is greater than 3 is an indicator of person who stutters. So greater than 3 on the total stutter-like to total words equals, I'm going to write PWS for person who stutters. Total stuttering-like disfluencies over the total disfluencies, what we're really looking for is anything greater than 85%. These are all percents. Is more typical. So like see over here where it says not typical, if it's greater than 85, I would say more typical. But you see here that, you know, the 4% total disfluencies is not real impressive, and the 18% of stuttering like to total disfluencies is well below the 85%. So you're kind of like, that is not telling me much. Now we get to the temperament characteristics scale, and again, this comes back to temperament, which I made green. So let's make it green over here. So we're looking at that, in conjunction with the information that we got in the interview about temperament. All right, so then other measures that we gave, the stuttering severity interest or the instrument is had a score of 6. Yeah, days that I love having a dog. All right, and this actually gives you the range of normal. So you can see, okay. We're just gonna pause.